This flowchart looks complex, but not impossible. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be handling this flowcharts and trace table problem. And this problem is coming from Computer Science, Cambridge IGCSE, October, November 2025. This is the paper 2-2. I have placed the trace table and the flowchart side by side so that it will be easy for us to visualize and solve the problem as we move along. This flowchart represents an algorithm. So our job is to complete this trace table for the algorithm using the input data given here. So we need to take note that the first data row of the trace table shows the values currently stored in code store. So this code store shows the values that are already stored here, with these two being empty. So let's proceed. Of course, we begin from the start and then input code. So when we go to input code, so right here, I'm going to type code as 766, 7686, okay? So this is the code, that's the value for code, which is this first input. Then we are here. Now we need to check, is length of code equal to 4? The answer is yes, it is equal to 4. So we move down here. Then we store into store, we put false. So here should be false. After that, we're here, count becomes 1. After that, we're now here, is code store 1? That is ABCD. Is it equal to code? Is this equal to that? The answer is no. So it's not. So it's not. Therefore, we're going through this direction. Again, we're now checking, is code store 1 empty? Is this guy empty? The answer is no, it is not empty. So we need to take no. And then count is incremented by 1. So we come down here and make count 2. Then we move down here. Is count greater than 6? That is 2 greater than 6? No. So we take this angle back. Now we're here. Is store equals false? Yes, store is actually equal to false, which is this one here. So we go through the yes. And then is code store 2? Remember that count is now 2. Yeah? Here. So is code store equal to, is code store 2, which is this, equal to code, which is equal to this? The answer is no, it is not. So we now move here. Is code store 2 empty? Is it empty? No, it's not empty. So we take here and then we increment count by 1 again. Count becomes 3. Good. So we're here now. Is 3 greater than 6? Yeah, because count is 6. Is 3, sorry. Is count greater than 6? So is 3 greater than 6? The answer is no. So we go back. And then is store equals false? Yes. Store is equal to false. So we come down here. Now we're checking, is code store 3? Remember that count is now 3, yeah? Right? Okay. Code store 3. Is it equal to code? Is this equal to that? The answer is no, it is not. So we now come back here to check, is it empty? No, it is not empty either, because code store 3 has face. So we go through no. And then we increment count again by 1. So count becomes 4. Count becomes 4. Count becomes 4. Again, is 4 greater than 6? The answer is no. So we go back all the way here. And then is store equal to false? Yes, store is equal to false. So we move in here. Is code store 4 equal to code? Code store 4 is this one. Is it equal to this? The answer is no, it is not. So again, let's check. Is it empty? Yeah, we're checking if it is empty. No, it is not empty. So we go back here and then we increase count by 1. Count becomes 5. Again, is 5 greater than 6? The answer is no, 5 is not. So we're moving here. Is store equal to false? Yes, store is equal to false. So we're taking here. Remember now that the value of count is 5. So is code store count 5 equal to code? No, it is not. So we're taking here. Is it empty? Yes, it is empty because here it's empty. Yeah, you can see there's no value for it. So if it is empty, which is yes, so we're taking this angle and then we're changing store to true, the content of store to true. So still here, true. Then we now put in the value of code into code store 5, which is here. Yeah. So 7686. That is not the new value inside of code store 5. Okay. Now, from my record, over 90% of you who watch my videos are not subscribers, and that is a staggering figure. So I want to use this opportunity to remind you to subscribe, like, share, hit the notification button, and even comment. That way this video gets to as many persons as possible, and we are encouraged to do more. Now, have you done that? Thank you. Let's continue. Now we're going this way to increase count by 1. Yeah. So count needs to increase by 1, which will be 7. Is it 7 or 6? 6. Yeah. Yeah, 6. Okay. So is 6 greater than 6? No. So we're going back here. Is store false? No. Store is not false. Therefore, we're taking the no direction and we're starting all over again. So we need to take the next input, which is face. So we can come down here and type face as our new code. Then is the length of face equal to 4? Yes, because there are 4 characters here. And then we store false into store. After that, count becomes 1. And then we're here. Is coastal 1? Remember coastal 1 because count is now 1. So is coastal 1 equal to code? Is this equal to that? The answer is no. So we're taking here. So we're here. Is code store 1 empty? No, it's not empty. So we're taking here and increasing count by 1. So count becomes 2. Is 2 greater than 6? The answer is no. So we're coming down here. Is store false? Yes, it is false. We're going here. Is store count 2 equal to code? That is this equal to that? The answer is no. So we come down here. Is it empty? No, it's not empty. So we increase our count again by 1. So count becomes 3. Increase count by 1, so count becomes 3. So is 3 greater than 6? The answer is no. So we're taking this angle. Is store equal to false? Yes. So we're taking this angle. Is code store 3 equal to code? That is this equal to that? The answer is yes, it is equal. So here is face, there is face. So we're taking this yes angle. We will now output code used before. Where do we do that? We come down here. So that's that. And then we move back up here to take another input. So what is the input now? The next one is speed. Okay, speed. So is the length of speed equal to 4? The answer is no, because there are 5 characters here. Yeah, so it's not equal to 4. So we do no. Now we need to output length must be 4. Okay, so length must be 4. That is the output. Then we come back here again. We take another input. So we're now taking 432U. 432U. Good. So we're here now. Is the length 4? Yes, it is 4 because there are 4 characters there. So we now store force into store. Next thing, count is now 1. After that is code store count. That is code store 1 equal to this? So is this equal to that? The answer is no. So is it empty? So we're checking if this guy is empty. The answer is no, it's not empty. So we increase count by 1. Is 2 greater than 6? Yeah, because count is now 2. Yeah. Is 2 greater than 6? No. So we go back up here. Is store false? Yes, of course it is false. So we take in here. Is code store 2 equal to this? So is this equal to that? The answer is no. So is it empty? The answer is no. So we go back here and increase count by 1. So after increasing count, is 3 greater than 6? Yeah, because count is 3. No. So we go back here. Is store false? Yes, store is equal to false. So is code store count equal to code? Again, is this, that is 3 here, equal to that? The answer is no. So we go down here. Is it empty? The answer is no, it's not empty. So we come back here and then we increase it by 1. We increase count by 1. So count becomes 4. Now the question is 4 greater than 6? No. So we go back up here. Is store equal to false? Yes, it is equal to false because the last known value of store is false. Good. So we're here now. Is cost of 4 equal to code? Because we're now checking, is this equal to that? The answer is no. So we're here. Is it empty? No, it's not empty. So we go back up here again and then we increase count by 1. So count becomes 5. Good. Next phase, is 5 greater than 6? No, it is not. So we go back here. Is store false? Yes, it is false here. And then we come back here. So is code store 5 equal to code? This is code, this is code, this is code store 5. Yeah. So this is code store 5. Yeah. Okay. Is it equal to this? The answer is no, it's not. Then let's check. Is it empty? No, it is not empty because there's something here already. Okay, so we go back here and then we increase count by 1. So count becomes 6. Now, since count is 6 greater than 6? Of course not. So we come back here. Is store false? Yes, it is false. So we come back here and then we say, is code store 6 equal to code? The answer is no, because it's empty. So it can be equal to this. Yeah. So after that, we now check, is it empty? Yes, it is empty. So we're taking this direction. And then we now turn store to false. I mean to true. And then we store the value of code into code 6, which is here. 432U, I believe. Yeah. So that's that here. And then we get to increase count by 1. So count becomes 7. After that, we're here. Is 7 greater than 6? Yes, 7 is greater than 6. So we come back here and then we will output code store full. So with that, we're done with this trace table. So let's move forward. The next part says describe the processes in the algorithm in page 6. So what are the processes here? So basically, let us look at this closely. You would see that the first thing we do is to check for the length, right? So you can say number 1. So it checks for the length of the code. So to ensure that it is 4. Yeah. Number two, if you check, it is also checking to be sure that the code has not been used before. Okay. So, and then it displays that the code has been used before. 3. So it checks if the element is empty. Okay. And then if the element is empty, it goes ahead to store the code. So it goes ahead to store the code, the new code in the first available index, in the first empty index. Okay. So let me write empty index. Okay. So there are just 3 points that you need to mention here. So you can look for other things if you want to add to them. You're very free to do so. Okay, but we've mentioned for here, and that would do. Okay, so the next part is where the question says, the algorithm on page 6 requires the array code store to be declared as a one-dimensional 1D string array with 6 elements that are initially set to a null string. Write the pseudocode required to declare, so take note of that declare, and then initialize the array code store. You do need to declare any variables used. So if there are variables that you're going to use, you need to declare them. So that is very important. Okay, so let's start by declaring. What variable do we need? If we're playing around with this, of course, you need to initialize the value. So you need an index, yeah? So, and the index has to be an integer. So let's still call it index. Um, it should be an integer. Okay, so I think that would do. And then after that, we now need to declare the array itself. Yeah. Remember, the name is code store. So please, here it is very important for you to spell it the way it is spelled in the question. Take note of it. Very, very important. Okay, so we need to go ahead to indicate the data structure. The data structure. Okay, this one is an integer, which is a data type, but this one is an array. So it's important to indicate it first. Then after that, we need to indicate the length. How long is it? They say 6. It requires 6, okay, no, sorry. 6 elements. Okay, here. Good. So 1 to 6, that would do. And then after that, you now need to indicate the data type of the elements of the array. So which is a string. Good. So since we've done that part, it's now for us to move ahead with the initialization. Okay, remember the question also asks us to initially set to the null value, so we need to set each element to a null value, and the quickest way to do that is by using an array. So any of the arrays you're free to use, whether it's a for loop or a while loop or a repeat until, you're free to use it. So let me see if I can do it with more than one loop so that you can see the dynamics of how these different loops work. So let's try it with the for loop. I am going to use, yeah, this guy. So this is the symbol for assignment according to Cambridge Computer Science syntax. Okay, so take note of that. Okay. Okay. So from 1 to 6. Now, because it is a loop, so we need to indent this. Good. So this will serve. So we now need to add code store. We need to indicate the index, and then the value would be empty. Yeah, the value there will be empty. So after that, since it is a for loop, you need to end it with next next index. Okay, so that's that. So this is how to solve this problem using a for loop. Okay, so let's say if we're using a while loop, this will still be the same. Yeah, this will still be the same, but we now need to change this since we want to use a different loop. Okay, so let me do that here. Okay, so remember, I am just going to change, I'm just going to write the while loop to replace the for loop. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to assign our initial value to the index. I think I should just copy this so that it will be easy for me to always come back to it. Yeah. Okay. So we're giving it the first value, which is 1. Yeah. So the next thing we need to do now is to call on the while loop. While index is less than or equal to 6. Yeah. While index is less than or equal to 6, do. So you can choose to use less than 7. It will still work. Yeah. So we need to indent this. So what are we going to do now? We now need to assign the values. Code store index will be equal to empty. So after that, you now need to end. Sorry, before you end, increase your index by 1. So that way the index has been increased by 1. And then you end your while loop. Oh, sorry. Okay, end while. So that is another way to do it using a while loop. Okay. Should we also try it using a repeat until? Okay, let's just do it. Okay, so if we're using a repeat until, the only difference, okay, so here we need to equally begin with this, because they almost function the same way, but for a little difference, okay? And then let's use the repeat. So the question is, what are we repeating? Let us indent. We are going to be repeating the whole of this, yeah? So I'm just going to copy this. Yeah, I'm taking the lazy approach, right? Good. So we're repeating all of that, yeah? And then we're now going to complete our repeat by adding the until. Now, it will be index greater than 6. Greater than 6. Now, let me explain the difference between this and that. This loop will continue to run as long as this condition returns true. But this loop will continue to run as long as this condition returns false. So that's the difference. So that's why you need to consider a true value here, but here you need to consider a false value if you want the loop to keep running. So by the time it gets to 6, it will now check. I mean, it exceeds 6. It will now check is 7 greater than 6. It will now return as true. So once it is true, the loop is going to end. Okay, but remember, whether you're taking um so remember whether you're taking the while loop or you're taking the repeat until or you're doing the for loop, you must do your declaration. Very important. I hope this video was instructive enough. Have you learned something? Please do well to like, do well to share, do well to subscribe. That way this video gets to as many persons as possible. Okay? Thank you guys. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye for now.